Welcome to Nucleus, the podcast covering America's top leaders in business and culture. I'm your host, Tripwire. Today on the show, the visionary who revolutionized luxury hospitality and created the boutique hotel concept that transformed the industry across the globe. Last week marked 49 years since Studio 54 opened its legendary doors on West 54th Street in Manhattan. That anniversary might seem like ancient history, but here's why it matters right now. Ian Schrager, the man who co-created that cultural phenomenon before serving federal prison time for tax evasion, is still actively reshaping how we think about hospitality at 79 years old. His public hotels are expanding globally. His Edition partnership with Marriott continues opening properties worldwide. And every single boutique hotel you've ever stayed in, from Ace to Soho House to whatever lifestyle brand Hilton just launched, owes its existence to what Schrager pioneered after getting out of prison in 1981. The guy went from literally hiding cash in trash bags at the world's most famous nightclub to inventing an entirely new category of hospitality that's now worth billions. And the principles he used? They're more relevant in 2026 than ever, especially as traditional hotels desperately try to compete with Airbnb's authentic experience pitch. So who is Ian Schrager? He's the Brooklyn-born lawyer who never practiced law, the Studio 54 co-founder who served 13 months in federal prison, and the hospitality visionary who looked at the entire hotel industry and said, what if we just didn't do any of that? He eliminated grand lobbies, fired the concierge, shrunk the rooms, and somehow convinced people to pay luxury prices for it. That's not disruption. That's basically hospitality jujitsu, using the industry's own assumptions against itself. Here's the thing nobody tells you about Schrager. His superpower isn't design taste or business acumen. It's understanding that people don't buy rooms or drinks. They buy the feeling of being part of something culturally significant. He figured this out at Studio 54, when he and Steve Rubel created a door policy so selective that getting rejected became part of the experience. The club made $7 million in its first year, not because the drinks were better, but because being inside meant something. It was social currency before anyone called it that. Of course, that success led directly to his biggest failure. Schrager and Rubel got greedy, skimmed an estimated $2.5 million in unreported income, and kept cash in the ceiling and literal trash bags. When federal agents raided Studio 54, they found the kind of evidence that makes prosecutors salivate. Both men were convicted, sentenced to 3.5 years, and Schrager served 13 months. He lost his law license, his reputation, and his business. Most people would have disappeared after that. Schrager did something way more interesting. After prison in 1984, he and Rubel scraped together financing, which was nearly impossible as convicted felons, and bought a rundown hotel on Madison Avenue called the Executive Hotel. Nobody wanted to lend to them. Traditional investors wouldn't touch them, so they had to get creative with a tiny budget and a destroyed reputation. This is where the pivot happens. Instead of trying to rebuild Studio 54 or chase nightlife again, Schrager asked a different question. What if we applied nightlife principles to hotels? He hired André Putman, a French designer with zero hotel experience but impeccable taste in modernist design. Together, they created Morgan's Hotel, and it broke every single rule of hospitality. No sign on the building, no grand lobby, no concierge desk, tiny rooms with black and white Robert Mapplethorpe photography. Everything traditional luxury hotels did, Morgan's did the opposite. The industry thought he was insane. Small hotels with small rooms can't charge luxury prices, right? Wrong. Morgan's was profitable almost immediately because Schrager understood something fundamental. You can charge for design and cultural relevance, not just square footage and thread count. This is what he calls democratic luxury, taking experiences previously reserved for the ultra-wealthy and making them accessible through smart design instead of expensive materials. Use less expensive materials in innovative ways. Focus obsessively on lighting, music, and details that create emotional responses. Eliminate waste. The result? Spaces that feel more luxurious than traditional five-star hotels at a fraction of the cost to build. Then came the expansion. Royalton Hotel in 1988 with Philippe Starck, another non-traditional hotel designer, creating spaces that looked like nothing else in hospitality. Paramount Hotel in 1990, then Delano in Miami Beach in 1994, which proved the concept could work beyond New York and literally changed Miami's entire hospitality market. Every Art Deco hotel renovation on South Beach happened because of what Schrager did with Delano.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
But 1998 brought devastating personal loss when Steve Rubel died from complications related to HIV and hepatitis. Schrager lost his business partner, his closest friend, and the person who handled all the front-of-house charisma while he focused on design. He had to learn to operate alone, evolving from partnership to solo leadership. And he kept building. Fast forward to 2007, and Schrager made a move that shocked boutique hotel purists. He partnered with Marriott International to create the Edition brand. Critics said he sold out. He saw it differently. If major hotel chains were going to copy boutique concepts anyway, why not partner with the biggest one, maintain creative control, and get global scale and capital? It's pragmatic evolution, not surrender. Then came public hotels in the 2010s, pushing democratic luxury even further, with rooms starting around $150 instead of $400 plus. Smaller rooms, spectacular public spaces, shifting the value equation for millennial and Gen Z travelers who'd rather spend money on experiences than private square footage. In 2017, Barack Obama granted Schrager a presidential pardon for the Studio 54 conviction in the final days of his presidency. After decades of carrying that legal baggage, Schrager finally got official closure. Not that it stopped him from working. At 79, he's still actively developing properties and pushing hospitality forward. So what can we actually learn from this journey? 3 specific principles stand out, and they're backed by established business frameworks. First lesson, create scarcity in abundance. At Studio 54, Schrager and Rubel intentionally rejected people at the door, even when the club had capacity. This seems counterintuitive. Why turn away paying customers? Because they understood what behavioral economists call perceived value through scarcity. When something is hard to get, people want it more and assign it higher value. This isn't just nightlife psychology. Schrager applied the same principle to boutique hotels by keeping properties small, limiting rooms, and positioning them as culturally exclusive, even when they're physically accessible. Supreme does this with limited drops. Hermes does it with Birkin bags. Schrager did it with hotel rooms and nightclub entry. The business lesson. You don't need to serve everyone to build a valuable brand. Sometimes the customers you turn away create more value than the ones you accept because they make everyone else feel special for being chosen. Second lesson. Eliminate to elevate. When Schrager designed Morgan's Hotel, he didn't ask, what should we add? He asked, what can we remove? Out went the grand lobby, the concierge desk, the large rooms, the traditional luxury markers. This freed up resources to obsess over lighting, materials, and design details that actually created emotional responses. It's what IDEO and Stanford's D School call constraint-driven innovation. When you can't compete on everything, you eliminate ruthlessly and focus resources on what actually matters to your customer. Southwest Airlines did this by eliminating seat assignments, meals, and hub-and-spoke routing to focus on low fares and frequent departures. Apple did it by eliminating buttons, ports, and product lines to focus on user experience. Schrager did it by eliminating traditional hotel features to focus on design and cultural positioning. The tactical application. List everything your product or service offers. Then ask which elements customers actually value versus which ones you're providing because that's how it's done. Kill the sacred cows. Redirect those resources to the elements that create genuine differentiation. Third lesson, cross-pollinate from adjacent industries. Schrager didn't hire traditional hotel designers or consultants. He brought in Andre Putman from fashion and interiors, Philippe Starck from industrial design and furniture, photographers from the art world. This wasn't just about aesthetics. It was about importing completely different mental models and assumptions. Traditional hotel designers optimize for operational efficiency and familiar luxury markers. Fashion designers optimize for cultural relevance and emotional response. By bringing fashion thinking into hospitality, Schrager created something neither industry would have developed alone. McKinsey calls this innovation through cross-industry pollination, and research shows that breakthrough innovations often come from applying solutions from one domain to problems in another. Steve Jobs famously took calligraphy principles and applied them to computer typography. Schrager took nightlife principles and applied them to hotels. The practical takeaway. When you're stuck on a business problem, stop looking at competitors in your industry. Look at completely different industries solving analogous problems and import their approaches.
Oh, hey, friend. Do you like what you're hearing? Now you can have a ridiculously amazing podcast, too. Check out holler.studio to get yourself one today.
These principles connect to a broader framework that explains Schrager's entire career arc. He was practicing experience economy principles before Pine and Gilmore even wrote the book. He understood that as commodities become services and services become commoditized, the next competitive frontier is creating memorable experiences that customers value intrinsically. Studio 54 didn't sell better drinks. It sold the experience of being part of cultural history. Boutique hotels don't sell better beds. They sell the experience of living in a beautifully designed space and feeling culturally connected. Ian Schrager went from federal prison to pioneering an entire hospitality category by understanding three things. First, scarcity creates value, even in abundant markets. Being selective about who you serve makes everyone you do serve feel special. Second, elimination is a strategy. Remove everything that doesn't directly create customer value and obsess over what remains. Third, breakthrough innovation comes from importing ideas from completely different industries, not from incremental improvements within your own. The bottom line? In 2026, when AI can replicate almost any service and Airbnb claims to offer authentic local experiences, the leaders who win will be the ones who understand what Schrager figured out in 1977. People don't buy features or even benefits. They buy the feeling of being part of something culturally significant. Build that, and they'll pay luxury prices for a tiny room with no concierge. Thank you for listening to Nucleus. You can show our podcast team some love with 5 stars and a follow. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Grep News. Thomas.